Hello, this is Bill St. George. Welcome to another Impression show. Back at beautiful Scituate Harbor, down in Scituate, Mass. Another beautiful day. Can't beat it, you know. Another number 10 on the scale of 1 to 10. It's the type of early summer day that you can really come out and enjoy yourself painting. Very little wind, light breeze, just perfect. No bugs, no mosquitoes, and just plenty of sunshine. When we talked last time, when I was here the last time, started getting into a little bit of the detail. Now, everything is fairly abstract, and I'm using just kind of dots of color here for the time being. I don't want to go into any detail. Even now, what I'm going to do is pick up where we left off and just go back in with some more arbitrary color here and there for the boats and for the houses in the background. Maybe I actually did work a little on this, so the paint is still a little wet in the sky area, so there are some things I want to do there that are obvious to me, but I won't be able to until the paint dries completely. So let's, without any further conversation, what I'm going to do is I want to get some of these boats put in. And they seem to be pretty much in the same position. The tide is a little higher than it was, so let's see what happens. Okay, again, I pre-mixed some grays here. Cadmium red light. I'm gonna mix up some little heavier gray than that. I'm gonna use cadmium red light, and I'm gonna use Viridian. I'm gonna hit some of those areas out in the harbor that are a little lighter. Some of the roof lines, it's a little high there. Remember, you got to keep a relationship between the tree line and the houses. A lot of times I see painters people that just start painting, even painters that have been painting for a while, the relationship between the trees, or between like a telephone pole and a person's almost as tall as a telephone pole. In this case, if you make the house is too tall, it'll look like they're standing in front of bushes. So you should always keep that in mind. Make a mental note, and also check from time to time. You know, you use your thumb on the stick. Okay, see the distance between there and there. Okay, do the same thing here. Okay, bring it over as a guide. Yeah, I got a seagull cheering me on, or he wants me to leave, one or the other. Either that or he needs some food, which I don't have. Anyway, let's see, it's about midday, so he must be pretty hungry. And we got a sailboat going in there. Let's see if we can knock that thing in real fast. Alright, he's right about there. I'm going to put him in right about here. Okay. On the side of the sail, if I can remember it. It's pretty much like that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to put too much in now. Okay, now we'll get the back. That's enough for now. I'll go back in with some white, some brighter white later. Just an indication now. That's all I want. Okay, now, here we go, one at a time. We can get some of these boats in. One back there. There's another one going through the sailboat. Yeah, I guess the sailboat isn't going to stay after all. And we'll get this boat here. Again, try to do it with one brush stroke, as few brush strokes as possible. There's two. Again, we keep everything simple. Now, get some tops of these, tops of some of these boats in. Again, getting some white and yellow ochre. I think I got a little green on that. I don't want to. I want to cool it down. If anything, I want to keep it warm, nice and warm. Yeah, it seems to be that. There's this boat over here. Get that white right there. A little touch of white on that. really load the brush up. Now, by working with a large brush like this, keeps me from getting too much into detail. Okay, can always go back in with the fine brush later on. Still a little too much white there. Okay, let's get some of this blue for the sails. That's almost a pure cerulean blue on the top. The bottom part is cerulean blue and ultramarine blue. That's right in here. Might be a little too sharp, a little too much focus. But I can kill that with some color later on. Take some of that and push it around. Predominantly blue. Very blue painting, but very peaceful. A little too static. I've got both these blues on one line there, and they're almost identical. So we'll put that one in. Maybe run one over there. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to run some verticals. There's one thing this painting needs is some verticals. See if we can get a couple of masks here and there. There's one. If you make a chisel your brush down, you can get a fairly nice line without having to use a fine brush. Okay, got them all over the place, and these are going to break through the horizon. Okay, so we get everything going this way and this way. The eye is the composition works well. Got this line coming in and to this house, and then over to the boats. But everything is on this kind of a plane, so I want to break through with some verticals here and there. Let's get some nice bright colors in the roofs out in the horizon. I want to get it bright, but I don't want it that bright. As it goes farther away, it's not going to appear that bright. As it comes closer, it does. Okay, that's much too bright. I'm going to have to tone it down a bit. Yeah, we'll tone that down. Good. Put a couple of small sailboats in there. Just dots of color here and there. Alright, now, what I think I'm going to do now is shift over to the rocks. We'll get the rock out on the point here. I'll break in some light right there. Too strong a light. Compared to the rest of the light on the rock, it's too strong. But what I can do is hit a couple of other areas here to kind of balance it off. Bring this over. That works nicely. And I'll bring some of this in. Good, okay. Get some of this dark in here. Ultramarine, a little too much red. You can actually tell when you're lifting the brush after you've mixed a color whether there's too much paint on there. It should become sensitive to the weight of the brush. See, I've got a kind of a static line here that I'm not too happy with. So what I'm going to do is break some of these rocks into the sand itself. See if we can do that. Yep, we can, but I'm going to have to get a little more paint. Tell this, the breeze blowing on my palette right now is drying up some of the paints. It's kind of tough. I go to mix it and it's, and I'm gonna drag a little of that color right there. Kind of felt like doing that. Gave that a little more life. Yeah, all right, back to the rocks. pretty soon with all those glitzy whites. Look at that orange, my goodness. I just put this stuff out. It's dried hard as a rock. Pardon the pun, but it's the truth of it. Break some of these in through here. Get some shadow areas. Okay, now we gotta keep the sand in mind now. I don't want this thing looking like it's sitting on top of the sand. I want it to be coming out of the sand. So you have to always keep the perspective in mind. That helps to make some connection now. Okay, we'll pick up some of these. Start brightening this up. This bothers me a little bit. I want to get rid of this. Yeah, that's a little better. Get some of these shadows in here. Start pulling out some of these colors. That down just a bit. Not quite as strong there. It's reflection in here from the rocks. It's going to be there, so I'm going to have to bring some of that water down there to the edge of that shadow. Right here. Great things happening in the water now. Unbelievable that just a change in the tide and a different time of day. There's many other things happening. Okay, that looks okay. Just gonna get a little bit of the green over here. There's like a bush way off in the distance. It's a fairly strong green against that dark green there. There we go. Maybe drop right a little there. Okay, I'm going to highlight that house just a little more. Okay, this actually should be like this. It's almost straight up and down. Right like this. What I'm doing is I'm hitting a bump on the thing right now. Probably get a little too much white. That's what it is. It's actually this other boat here that's showing through. Yeah, that helps a little bit. I'm running out of bounties here. Some great color out there. Let's get some of these pinks in there. Spark that up. What else we got? We got some yellow. I'm going to bring a paler version of the sand back out there. A little lighter. I'm going to have to go back in with that pier. Yep. Well, that's something I can wait till next time to do, after it dries. Okay, now remember this was wet sand. I want to leave it that color. And I'm going to soup it up just a bit. I'm going to go a little thicker with the paint. See what happens. Mix some green with some white, some yellow ochre. Much too light. Okay. Tone it down a little more yellow ochre. Actually, when we take a break, I'll get some more paint. I tell you, that sun is just so bright. I'm running out of the yellow ochre, that's why I made that. So I want to forget to get it after the break. Just about out of it now. Now the temptation is to take this painting and I was going to not throw it away, but to change it completely, because when we first started it, this was very bright, and now what's happening is it's getting a darker blue. But I want to leave it the way it was. Temptation, you know, the trap that a lot of people fall into when they paint, they go out to paint, is that, well, it doesn't look the same as it did when I went out the first time, so I'm going to change the whole thing. That's crazy. You just leave it alone and know that there are other areas that you can work on. That's really the way to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring some more grays in for those boats. Arbitrarily punching different colors in. And then I'm going to go back in with the blue water. As long as I get, what I want is like a cluster of boats there. Really, when you look at it, that's exactly what it is, a kind of abstract shapes. It's not individual boats that you're looking at something overall. You view things, actually, you should squint, take out the extraneous. There's a little boat right there, and highlight one or two of them. Is you don't have to put every boat in and paint it exactly the way you see it. Little dots here and there. Now, there's some. The more I look out there, the more color I see. Okay. And that yellow ochre again, which I don't use that much of, but every now and then it helps. To warm up an area of a painting. Now we're going to take a little break.
Recycling all our Sunday papers would save over 500,000 trees a week. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world.
Hi, welcome back to the show. This is Bill St. George. Now let's go back and make some more boats, okay? As you can see on the horizon, this area is actually, if you squint your eyes, becomes almost like one complete shape. So don't try to pull too many things out individually. You get the break here, and then you get the break with the two main boats. These two boats actually will be the main players in this painting. They're the two nicest. These two, actually, the cluster of the three, and everything else will be secondary. So I want to keep everything in the background and as very general, and then we'll focus on just that this cluster here, these two, and possibly this one, and maybe this will be a little less important, and then everything else becomes very unimportant. So we're going to cluster in as many of those as we can over on the right hand side, and maybe break up you can see the number of buoys out there. I don't want to put those in yet. Put those in with a smaller brush later on. Okay, here we go. Mix up some yellow ochre and some green. I want to push these way back. Excuse me. So we'll push them back, break some mass through. Again, want to make a chisel. Put them in real quick. And I'm going to run some off, bring some down in here into this section, right over here, right there, maybe here. I want to mute that. That's a little too strong out there. I want to push that down just a bit. Okay. I got this big traffic jam over here, and then it's filtered. I don't know how they managed to do that. Whether you pay more for harboring it farther out to sea or what. I don't know exactly how that works, but it seems like there are a whole bunch of them together in a storm that would cause a problem. All banging up against one another. Okay, I'm going to get some white. Let's hit some highlights of white again on the outside of the tops of the boats. Some of that little sparkle in there. visitors to the beach area today. A little beach to my left. There we go. Alright, now use that same white, the light on some of these masts. A little too yellow. Let's do that. Bring this down. Get some diagonals in there. Again, you want a variety of shapes and variety of lines. Variety of lines. And we'll hit this with a little stronger orange. Right there. Right there. Okay, I'm going to pull a little more of this boat out. I think it's got a wooden top also. A lot of them are painted white. This one is, I think, a wooden deck. Brighten that up right here. Yeah, that's probably a little too much. We'll bring this over. Darken that up a bit. And bring it here. Take some of that same color and bring it out to the back. Some of these other boats. It's made with ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, and some white. And we got some people visiting down here now. It's pretty busy up until, actually it wasn't busy, I should say, until a few minutes ago, and now people are coming down, I guess, to have their lunch. Let me see, I'll take that blue here. And their lunch and sitting down on the rocks. There we go. Oh, I gotta get some reflection in the water. Good reflection color is made up of sienna and green. Either that or sienna and the ultramarine blue. Put some of those in. Okay. I think what I have to do here is make a slight adjustment. That's to this boat right here. I'm going to do that right now. There we go. I want to make sure it's on the water line. And I think that's pretty close to it. These other reflections in. Color. Some white off in the horizon, some of the boats. So they keep working back and forth all over the canvas, so if I drive the cameraman crazy after a while, but do it for a reason, because one color affects another. One area that's painted affects another area of the painting. Just going to spot some color in there. This can actually go a little stronger. There's some beautiful colors in here. Let's quickly, we got just a few minutes remaining. I want to drop in some nice color in some of these rocks. Get some form out on these. Let's see. Actually get the rock itself. Okay, try to draw what you see. Don't just poke it in there, but actually draw it. Okay, now I'm going to get the underside of some of these other bluish rocks with shadow. Unbelievable color. Now you can really see it. There's some purples and greens and teal greens, and just wonderful. People are lucky that live down in this area. Such a nice place. Got a pink here. I'm going to get, that's a little too strong. I just want to, that pink showed up when I started putting these colors in. That's what happens a lot of times. You just stumble onto it. And by way of putting a color there, we'll see how it pushes that color up, where that becomes more important. So what you have to do is tone it down. Or what I have to do, I should say, is tone it down. Let me get this going in here. I don't want too much of that color coming through. Some similarity there. It's monotonous. There we go. Good. Break that line. Now remember, the water is this way, so any line that goes that way, it really does not belong there. Keep it going on the same plane all the time. The sky you can take liberties with. You can, have it do anything you want. In fact, that's the thing. Talking about the sky, I'm going to just knock in a couple of clouds here and there. A little bit of orange and some white. I'm going to get right near here. There we go. Just to warm that up a bit. What that does is it emphasizes the orange that's coming through on the canvas here, which I don't want. So you have to keep making these adjustments back and forth. Ah, that orange. I forgot to do something. Was to put that color out. Let's see what happens here. A little strong. A little too strong. We're going to mute it down with some blue. Okay. Kind of get back in there with a little more of this blue and white. See how that looks? Okay, what I can do is take this back to my studio. And I don't like that. That's a bit static. I'm going to break that up. And this is a little too heavy. There it goes. Okay, I can do this. Some of these lines, some of these hard edges, I'll mute to push that back even further. Go back in and pull some of these boats out. Have some fun with it. And pull it together. This is Bill St. George. Really nice having you with me again, having you with us, Impression Show, and hope to have you back soon. Hopefully we'll come back to Scituate and do another landscape or seascape in the area. So until then, good night and keep painting. Hello again, this is Bill St. George. Welcome to another Impression Show. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. I think I say that to you all the time, but whoops, there goes a cat here. Anyway, we're going to do, we have a little discussion. I have with me three fellow artists, friends that have been painting. We've all been painting together for the past, well, anywhere from 3 years all the way back to about 10, 15 years ago. To my left I have Frank Allison. Frank lives in Milton and been painting with us now for about 4 or 5 years,
yes,
I'd say.
That's right.
Okay. With the Canton Portrait Workshop. And next to Frank, to my left, is Jim McGee. How you doing, Jim? Now, Jim's been with us, well, we've been together for about 15 years. Jim's originally from Australia and went to school there. And next to Jim is Ralph DiMarino, and Ralph is from Norwood. I should also mention that Jim McGee is from Norwood, and Ralph and I have been painting together for about the last 15 years. And what I'd like to talk about tonight is just the process of painting itself, and you know, what we go through, some of the things that have happened to us, some of the funny stories. It's going to be more or less a freewheeling conversation. And I think what we'll do is go back to I'd say the mid-70s when we started painting together at the Portrait Workshop. I believe that was around the time I met Jim. And prior to our painting together outside as landscape and seascape painters, we were in this Portrait Workshop, and that was actually the spin-off from into the painting, the outdoor painting that we're doing now. I don't make it too much like a panel and question and answer type of thing, but and I guess in order to get it started, maybe we'll have to do that. But anyway, I just wanted to get back to Frank and just find out what kind of a background you have, Frank, as far as you know, your school. I know you went to an art school in Boston for a while, and you've been.
I did. I've always had an interest in art. When I was in grammar school, I'd have the school book open, but I'd be drawing pictures instead of studying what I was supposed to. So it was an inherent natural interest in art. And I did spend a little bit of time in art school after high school, but I didn't really pursue it. And I went on to the advertising business, and that's where my career has been spent. And it's only been in the last few years that I decided to go back and devote myself to doing some serious painting.
That's
but
great.
not serious, not unhappy serious, but
no.
fun, and I've had a great time.
I'm doing great. This actually is one of Frank's paintings here to my left, and it's a painting that
Well, it's actually an old apple tree that's all hollowed out on the inside, and yet it still gives an abundance of apples, and it's on my property. And actually, that's Ralph, who was here with us this evening.
You look better there than.
He was painting another view of my house itself, and so I got Ralph under the old apple tree.
Jim was just saying that Ralph looks better in the painting than he does here. Well, you did a good job.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He paid you to make him look like
Yes,
that.
that's right.
Did a nice Very good.
Now, Jim, you were in Australia, and they asked you to leave the country for.
Yes.
No, seriously.
What kind of art are you doing?
Yeah, really.
Actually, I was born in Boston.
Uh-huh.
And when I was a kid, I went through Mass Art. I studied there for a short period, and then the old museum school. And then when I went to
Did you go to the Saturday thing they had
Yeah,
Saturday
yeah,
mornings? Yeah, for gifted artists?
for gifted artists.
Oh, seriously?
But in
that was
those
a good
days,
program.
frowned on art. I know my family didn't actually frown on it, but going
They
to
used to
art
lock you in
school
the cellar and things like that.
Yeah, I used to have to lock my nude drawings in the cellar.
Oh, I see. Okay. Along with the models.
Yeah, along with the models.
Yes,
Yeah.
I understand.
And then in Australia, I went to the Julian Ashton School of Art right in Sydney.
Oh, in Sydney?
Fine arts.
That's right on the harbor, right?
Right under the Harbor Bridge, as a matter of fact, the school was. And we used to recruit fellas off the ships to model for us and all that type
That's
of thing.
great.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the school?
Julian Ashton.
Julian
School of
Ashton. It's
Art.
still there?
It's still there.
Yeah.
It's one of the oldest art schools in like the Mass School of Art here, I imagine.
Oh, great, great. What'd you do when you came back? I think you...
Well,
how'd you meet up with us anyway? I don't know. We kind of
decided,
walked in on us,
I
didn't you?
retired from the government.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to continue with my art. It's similar to Frank. You say you've been doing. I was been doing drawing and that since I was a little kid in Roxbury, and to get out of my grandmother's hair, she used to give me a pencil and paper.
Yeah.
And that's what started all. But then when I retired, I decided this is what I wanted to do. So I asked a friend of ours. Brenda Bates, and that's how I got to meet
She's
you fellas.
a Norwood artist.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
And she
painter.
said there's a group meeting in such and such a place, and that's where I
Yeah.
met you fellas. And from there, I developed. I think I developed more since I met your group than I ever expected I would.
Yeah, the Canton Art Association. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great organization. Just want to also mention that the painting directly behind Jim is a painting that he did. And why don't you explain just a little where you did this,
I was
Jimmy?
up in Maine, and I was looking for anything to paint. And I happened to be going along this country road, and I saw a road to my right, and it mentioned a certain church was down there. So all of a sudden, I said, "Gee, I better go to church." So I
Good
turned
idea.
right.
You
And
need all the help you can get.
All the help I can get. And so I turned right, and about a mile down the road, lo and behold, if I didn't come to this little town, it's called Bolster's Mills, and it's on the Crooked River.
Never heard of that.
It's not even on the map.
That's why I've never heard of it.
Never heard of it. That's why. And
That for a
this area is
segue.
where freshwater salmon spawn. They come up here, and they spawn just up in this area here.
That's really
and then
nice.
they go back down to Long Lake and Sebago.
When'd you do this? Just
This summer, yeah.
great, beautiful sky.
There's only one. There's one store in the town, and 2 or 3 houses, but spread around the area.
Ah,
And it's just Maine. It's New England, and it's
Sure
it's an
is.
incredible place.
very nice.
Thank you.
Oh, Ralph. Ralph,
Yes.
you went to Mass Art, I guess.
Well, I
huh?
went to New England School
New
of
England
Art.
School. Okay, why do I keep saying Mass? Frank, did you go to Mass Art? Or?
Yes.
That's okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
went to New England School of Art. I took their commercial course. I never really got into the fine arts type of painting or drawing until I got out of art school. And I studied painting at the Museum of Fine Arts for a couple of years at night. And mostly the painting that I've done, the fine arts painting, are the paintings I've done with you and the guys where we get out and paint. So that's pretty much it. I worked as a commercial artist for about 30 years.
Yeah.
But in the last 15 years, I've been concentrating more on the painting rather than the other.
Painting behind Ralph is watercolor. I believe you did recently. I want to.
That's